It's not going to be 2 nights in a row. Let me explain. Last night... Let me explain last night. You sound really nice tonight. I mean that, and I love you. God, I love you. Last night's audience was...
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. It was... You see this spot here? You can still see the chalk outline of my body. You gave me... Thank you. Bless you. Bless you, bless you, bless you. Ho, ho, ho. I had a rough night, right?
Yes.
Give you an idea, after the monologue, I got a condolence call from Barry Minkow. It was a nice group last night, but their straw didn't go all the way to the bottom of the eggnog. To give you an idea how tragic it was last night, after the monologue, Mr. de Cordova actually went through my wallet looking for my organ donor card. And then I understand the same audience last night after the show went over to a Salvation Army band and tipped over their kettle. No. You don't mean that. I mean, if the stealth bomber could drop bombs that quietly, it'll be worth every cent we paid for it. Anyway, I thank you for coming. I want you to know if things start to lag, it could be worse. You could be standing online at Toys R Us. Have you been into... Have you ever seen some of the part-time Christmas help they have at Toys R Us? It makes you wonder why Arafat had so much trouble getting an entrance visa. I don't understand it at all. Well, I guess at this time of the year, everybody is thinking pretty much of the same thing. Whatever happened to the cow sills? But things are getting in the Christmas mood out here in California. Yesterday, I went to the mall out here in the valley and saw 200 very excited little boys lined up to sit on Cher's lap. Christmas, I'm going to tell you, folks, Christmas is different in California. Last night, my gardener stood under my window and played Silent Night on his leaf blower. And have you been in Beverly Hills? Some of you from out of town? Did you go to Rodeo Drive? You may have noticed they're having a Christmas campaign to help the homeless there. Of course, in Beverly Hills, they consider the homeless those who haven't cleared escrow. This is it's a rough time of year for Ed. You ought to see his Christmas card list. You see, Ed sends out these millions of letters saying you may have already won. Last night, Victoria, who is Ed's wife, told Ed he should do something nice during the holidays for somebody who's fallen on hard times, right? So Ed went out and bought a fur coat for one of the girls who lost the spokesmodel competition on Star Search, which was a wonder. But last night I decked the halls. Mr. and Mrs. Hall, they're my neighbors. They came over there. They were caroling under my window, and I decked them. I don't know, Christmas is a nice time, but too many Christmas specials, don't you think, on television? Every show. Hello? Don't you think? Every show tries to work out a Christmas special. I watched this week's episode of Beauty and the Beast. Did you see that? No. And Vincent got his feelings hurt real badly because he gives Catherine a ring for Christmas, and she gave him a giant litter box. I got a warm Christmas card from my newspaper boy. It said, if you've already sent me a gift, ignore this notice. Did you know that? So I delivered his Christmas present the same way he's been treating me the past years. I drove by his home about 4 in the morning, 60 miles an hour, and threw it into a puddle. I'm getting a little sick also of those animated cartoon specials. Aren't you? Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you love to see Garfield flattened on the freeway? Marlo Thomas had a Christmas special the other night. Did you see it? Had a surprise ending. At the end of the show, Marla took off her wig and a dress and turned out to be her husband, Phil Donahue. I mentioned Barry Minkow earlier. Have you been following that case? He's the young founder of the ZZ Best Carpet Company. Apparently, they found him guilty of fraud and sentenced him. I mean, if he found guilty, he could get 400 years in prison. Now, that isn't the worst part for Barry Minkow, I understand. The worst part was that grilling he got from Doug Llewellyn out in the hallway. Doug Llewellyn, you see, works on people's court. And talks to the people after Judge Wapner has decided their case, and then they finish there and they go out in the hall, and Doug Llewellyn talks to them. I wish I was out in the hall. Anyway, just a little... One more, and then we'll plunge ahead with the show. Did you read about the theft at the Dutch Museum of 3 Van Gogh paintings? 3 of them, yes, worth millions and millions. And coincidentally, the same night that the thieves broke into that Dutch museum and stole the Van Gogh painting, somebody broke into the Burbank Museum and stole the painting of Vanna White on black velvet. Okay, you can stay. Tonight, Mr. Bob Hope is with us. We have young comedian Jimmy Tingle is with us, and marvelous actress Ellen Greene. So stay where you are, and we'll be right back. Greene. Thank you, Doc. Hello, Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho. Was it a week ago we had the lady on from Phoenix, Arizona, who loved the Tonight Show band?
Yes.
We got a letter, and we had this lady on the show. I don't recall her name. Maybe somebody will find it before the show's over. Said that I always kid Doc, never give the band a chance to play a number. Well, was it a week ago? She came on, we had an interview. She went over and sat in front of the band, and the band did this wonderful number. I think you did...
Sing, Sing, Sing.
Sing, 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 the famous Benny Goodman arrangement. We started getting letters from around the country. From the East Coast, the Midwest. It was never seen. And people thought this was the ultimate joke, that I'd set him up. Then, for some reason, had Tom Brokaw of NBC News. That was the night they had the Gorbachev left to go back to Russia. And that news broadcast took time during your band number, so it wasn't seen in about 90% of the country. And people actually thought, that's a terrible thing that Carson did. Like I brought in the news broadcast. So it was never seen, guys.
Well, that means we'll be doing it again then, right? Of all the nights for that to happen, after setting this all up, and then only in California, I guess. But we'll do it another night, because it was a great number. But so those people who were watching, they really wrote hundreds of letters. What was her name?
Zota Krogan.
Zota Krogan was her name. Miss Krogan. She was a nice lady from Phoenix, loved the band, knew all the guys, had all the albums, said I didn't let them play, brought her here, and then thought I was guilty of pulling the plug on them. Didn't do it. How many of you are staying home for the holidays? How many of you are visiting other people? All right.
What about you?
Staying home.
Do you have relatives coming out?
Yes, I do.
Your children?
Yes.
Do you have any aunts, uncles, cousins, or
No.
nephews?
I have brothers-in-laws and mother-in-laws.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well, that's true. All right.
Yeah.
No, I don't have those showing up. A busy household. Usually, this is the time you see sometimes cousins, nephews, uncles you haven't seen for a whole year. Most people don't know much about their family history, too. We had Alex Haley on the show some years ago after he did Roots, and he brought me my genealogy. So we thought as a holiday treat tonight, we would call the Genealogical Institute, I believe it's in Utah, is it not, Salt Lake, that furnishes most of this information, to see if some of our members of the audience have remarkable ancestors. So you gave us, some of you, your hometowns and addresses, and at this very moment, we had our fax machine backstage here.
They buying this?
Hooked in to the fax machine of the Genealogical Institute, and they sent us some high-quality photographs of some relatives that you may not know about, you people. So this is a little holiday thing. You're going to see some of these people probably at your holiday gathering. Okay, is Norman Pell here? From Brockton, Massachusetts, right, Norman? Okay, well, we put your hometown and then your name, and we got this just a few minutes before the show started. Take a look at this here. This is the man seated there is your great-uncle Vladimir Pell. And he invented the world's cruelest musical instrument, the Hare Krishna xylophone. He's about ready to play it right there. It's marvelous we can get these so quickly.
Yes.
Michael Paulus.
Wait a minute.
That's somebody obviously that Michael is with. You're from New York, Michael?
Yes.
What do you do in New York?
Construction.
Excuse me?
Construction.
Construction. Well, we nothing much to brag about here, I'm afraid. You can take a look. This is your mother's third cousin, Mordecai Paulus. We found out they dug into his background. He worked very odd jobs, extremely odd jobs. You see him right here whitewashing the tombstones at a McDonald's employee graveyard.
Strange job.
We have a lady from Harlington, Texas, by the name of Lois Knapp. Who obviously has a few problems, but, well, Lois, if you look here, these are, we found out, your great-uncles Leotard and Bulge Knapp. They were on the Olympic skating team in 1924, but after their endorsement deal fell through, they were reduced to working in a carnival freak show as human corn cob holders. From Glenville, Illinois, Fred Rosen. How are you, Fred? What do you do in Glenville?
I'm a counselor.
A counselor. Well, we checked into your genealogy. Take a look at this, Fred. This is your second cousin, twice removed. Twice removed, although once he snuck back in, we found out. This is Bhagwan Shri Rosen. One day he felt he needed a change, so he took up yoga and kicked his Audi into an innie. Here you see him. Matt Ferguson of Newbury Park, California. You with us, Matt? All right, we got a picture here of your great-great-aunt, Fructose Ferguson. She had a one-woman show on Broadway in the 1930s. Here she is performing her hit song, My Heart Belongs to Daddy, but My Face Belongs to Goober Pyle. That was a big closing number. Jeanette Franks from Merritt Island, Florida. Well, you've got some strange ones, Jeanette, in your family. Take a look here. The man on the right is the black sheep from your family, Crouton Franks. He did 15 years for assault with a deadly appetite. Every time the warden called lights out, another hoagie-sized prisoner mysteriously disappeared. Bruce Berghoff from New Hope, Minnesota. We found out, Bruce, you have a very distant 17th cousin, Ungawa Berghoff. He led a tribe of short-order headhunters who invented the first cannibal fast food, Egg McNoggin. Strange relative. Andrew Lopez from San Jose? Andre, here's your great-uncle, Benito Lopez. In 1934, he received a great honor. He was the workman chosen to test the guardrail around the observation deck of the Empire State Building. Susan Funderburk. Is that right, Susan? Is that right, Susan?
That's right.
Did I pronounce your name right?
Yes, sir.
Susan Funderburk from Houston. Strange relative here. You can probably, he's on the right here, is your grandfather, Sigmund Funderburk. And he was famous, we found out, as the fireman philosopher. I mean, we found anybody could put out fires, but he was the first person to try and reason with them. Lance Allen Ashley from Mississippi. All right, Lance, this is your sister-in-law's nephew on your mother's side, Abel Ashley. About all we could find out about him is that he really, really liked butter on his French toast. Ryan Spicer from Leroy, New York. Ryan, you here? Well, this is your great-great-grandfather, Ornery Spicer. We found out for 15 years he stood guard over his daughter's honor, threatening any suitor who came near. Shortly after this photo was taken, she walloped him behind with an iron cake stand, and your great-grandmother was born 9 months later. Possibly too long. Well, let's see. Jill Castillo, West Covina. You here, Jill? Well, we found out you had a half-uncle named Giuseppe Castillo. He was a pasta farmer in Naples until the great ravioli blight. Not easy to say. He immigrated to America where he made a precarious living sniffing cue balls to see if they had live chickens inside. Don't have time for all of these, but maybe two more. Tammy McAllister from Portland, Oregon. Tammy?
Yes.
Well, you probably didn't know about your great-great-cousin Cheech McAllister, who worked at the Cairo Department of Motor Vehicles. He was killed by an irate customer who'd been waiting in line for 3,000 years. Meg Scott from Toledo. Well, apparently you're related to your mother's side of the famous home economist Betty Crockett. We found out Betty was thrown out of the Cordon Bleu cooking school for insisting that her bus measurement be listed as one of the 7 essential food groups. And Roberta Cook from Woodstock, Virginia. We found out this is your half-grandfather on your brother's side, C. Everett Cook. During World War I, he saved thousands of young servicemen needless suffering from his Army training film, Full Metal Condom.
Close on that.
Close on the old condom joke. We'll be back with Bob Hope. Thank you all. All right. Our first guest. What can you say about Mr. Bob Hope? He is a remarkable man. He's been entertaining people for, 6 decades? And he's a good friend. And his Christmas special, Bob Hope's Jolly Christmas Show with the All-American Champs, is going to be on this Monday at NBC at 8 p.m. Would you welcome Mr. Bob Hope? Happy holidays. Yeah. Somebody told me you did your very first Christmas special, 1948?
48, yeah.
40 years ago?
Went to the Berlin Airlift.
Is that a fact?
With Texan Jinx and
Jinx Falcon.
Irving Berlin, Vice President Barkley, and Elmer Smith. Oh, and you remember Elmer Smith?
The newscaster.
Yeah.
My
You know,
goodness.
And we did a show in Wiesbaden. And then we went into Berlin. Texan Jinx and Irving Berlin and myself went in on a coal plane.
That's when they were delivering all the supplies to Berlin.
This is when we had trouble over there.
That's remarkable. Who were some of the girls you took along? You always had beautiful girls with you. Jinx Falkenberg. Who were some of the beautiful girls? Did you have dancers with you? Or?
On the girls?
Yeah.
There's so many of them, I forget. No, we had. I worked with about all the gals.
Yeah.
You know, what the hell? You have too.
Not as much as you have.
But you've aged more than I have.
Yes.
That's bothered you more.
That's true. You've worked...
I tell you, I got a beautiful girl in this show. A couple of beautiful girls.
Yeah?
And one is that Florence Joyner Griffith.
The
Olympic
Olympian?
star. She is a gorgeous thing.
She's not only great, she's a great athlete, but she's also a lovely looking gal.
She can run the 100 yards and fix her hair at the same time. I never saw anything prettier.
Is she pretty good with dialogue?
Oh, damn good. All of them are good.
Yeah.
In all sports stars, they do so much of it, don't they?
You have Oral Hershiser?
Oral Hershiser. Is he something?
He's on everything.
He's one of the nicest kids. When he met Dolly, he looked her right in the eyes. He's really clean cut, that kid. He makes Pat Boone look like a Hell's Angel.
He's a nice young man, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a hell of a guy.
Where's your... What spot that you did your Christmas show out of Berlin is most memorable? Whereabouts in the country?
Wiesbaden and Berlin, all over the place. We did so many shows. Did a lot in Wiesbaden.
Right.
And then we did different places in Germany, you know.
Now, the last two from Florida.
Last year we went to Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah.
They invited us. And this year they invited us down on the Royal Viking Sun, this brand new ship that came down, and also on Williams Island, another place. We had such great times last year and great success, you know, that we said, let's go.
What'd you do, on a cruise ship? Is that what it is?
Yeah, beautiful cruise ship.
Now, you've got Dolly...
12 floors on this cruise ship. Do you believe this?
On one ship?
One ship. 12 floors. It's the biggest thing I've ever seen.
So...
God, it looks like Rodeo Drive with a rudder. I've never seen it.
So you got Oral, you got Florence Griffith Joyner, you've got Dolly Parton.
Dolly Parton's wonderful, wonderful gal.
And you're singing this year?
Yeah. She's doing Silver Bells.
Yeah. We had a little...
You've had her, haven't you?
Oh,
yeah.
And
we've had on the show.
Yes,
on the show.
Yes, I didn't say anything.
And we have the Rose Bowl Queen and the Orange Bowl Queen and the All-America football team.
Super.
And let me tell you, we did that Monday, and there's one guy in there, a return kicker, All-American, weighs 135, and he's 5'3".
I don't know him.
From Texas Tech. This guy, you take off the pads, you got Sammy Davis. I've never seen anything. No, he's sensational, this kid.
When we come back, we've got a little clip. We'll show you a little preview of what you're going to see on Monday.
Yeah.
Stay where you are. We'll be right back.
All right. Got the lights now.
Yeah, I want to mention, originally they had your show scheduled for the 17th, but it's actually the 19th, right?
19th, Monday, yeah.
Coming up at 8 o'clock on NBC all around the country.
Yeah.
Now, we have a little excerpt from what you're going to see on Monday night, right? Does this need any setup, or we just roll it? And
roll it.
Take a
Roll
look
it.
at
That's
it.
fine.
Watch the monitor.
Oh, no. Tommy Lasorda.
Or I'm going to have to take you out of the game.
Why, Tommy? I'm not tired. My arm feels great. And only one more strike and we win this game.
I have something more important for you to do.
What could be more important than winning this game?
You have to go pick up my dinner. I'm starving. I haven't had a thing to eat since the 8th inning.
But it's only the 9th.
You want to argue with my stomach?
I'll never argue with anything that outweighs me.
When did you first know that you could run fast?
Oh, I was about 7 or 8. When the boys chased me, none of them could catch me.
Not bad.
Not good either. I started to like boys, so I learned to run slower.
Smart little girl.
Later on, because of my speed, I almost didn't land my husband.
How come?
His mother always told him to keep away from fast women.
Let me tell you, the most important thing in this game of football is I just. Go ahead. Wait, darling.
What?
We get the bit.
Okay.
What's happening?
We're both too horny.
Will that be in the show?
No. No, we cut it out. That was for you.
You won't see that in the show, huh? That's
No.
cut out.
And a Christmas show is a little much, huh?
Right.
But we know how much you like that kind of stuff.
An all right class show.
We know how horny you are.
Now, what do you do for... You've been married, Dolores, 50 years, right?
54.
54 years.
And I've been home 3 weeks.
What do you do? What do you do on Christmas? Do you go out shopping? Do you
No,
what do you
no,
buy her?
I just give her a blank check and a psychiatrist and say, go.
You never go out and shop for her? You must go out.
We don't go shopping together.
Yeah.
Very seldom. She goes over and buys Beverly Hills. And I go over to Kmart.
When you grew up in Cleveland, right? There were 7
boys.
No. Mm-hmm. You were not well-to-do then, right? You were poor then, were you not?
Semi-poor.
Semi-poor.
Yeah. We're not poor. I wouldn't say poor. We had enough to eat.
Yeah.
At 7 boys, it's tough. They usually everything on the table and then stare at you. You know? That's the way they were.
You sold... One time you sold newspapers?
Yeah.
True?
The newspapers. I sold one to John D. Rockefeller every week, and it was the Cleveland News, I think, and it was 2 cents. And he used to come out in his limousine. He lived out in East Cleveland. John D. Rockefeller Sr.
The old man, yeah.
And one day he gave me a dime, and I said, no, I don't have any change. You said, no, get change. And I had to run 50 yards to this grocery store to get change, come back and give him 8 cents, and he said, always deal in cash. John D. Rockefeller Sr.
And that's why he ended up being a billionaire.
True story. Yeah.
We've talked about this before. You had a brief career as a prize fighter under the name Packy East.
That's true.
Most people, I don't know whether they know this or not. True. And you had how many bouts?
I had, in the amateurs, I fought at the Y.
Yeah.
And this friend of mine that I hung out with, Whitey Jenner, went down and registered as Packy East in the Ohio State Amateurs. So I went down the next day, I snuck down and registered as Packy East. Packy, he went down to Packy West. I went down as Packy East, which had a big laugh around the pool room, you know. And I won my first fight, and then unfortunately I drew a bye and met a guy called Happy Walsh, who was the champion of that class. Mm-hmm. And the reason they called him Happy is because every time you hit him, he smiled at you. And I hit him a few times in the first round. I said, I got to get rid of this. I said, I got to really lay this guy out. And I threw a right hand, and that's all I remember.
What weight class?
Bounced right into dancing school. No, I was fighting in the 135. I was wrong. I should have been in the featherweight, but it's hard to train in the pool room.
Yeah. And that to dancing.
Smoking cigarettes,
Yeah. And that to dancing.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Anyway, the special is Monday night, 8 o'clock, with a lot of the people you just saw. Are you going to be home for this Christmas, or are you going to be traveling again?
I'm going to be in Palm Springs. Palm Springs with all the relatives,
Good.
Find out what they're doing down there.
Thanks for coming.
Right.
Hey.
Great to see you, John.
Happy Christmas. Happy Christmas. Now, thank you. We have tonight a young comedian from Boston making his very first appearance on network television. He's a little bit unusual in the field of young comedians because he deals in political humor and social commentary. And in fact, he has an album out of political humor. It's called Strange Bedfellows. Would you welcome Jimmy Tingle? Jimmy?
Thank you very much. Nice to be here tonight. You know, folks, I read the papers. I try to keep up what's going on in the world. but sometimes I honestly don't know what to believe. Because I can't believe some of the things that have been printed about me. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining about my reviews. I mean, I've had some very good reviews. I was compared to John Belushi in Variety magazine. John Belushi. Cape Cod Times said, reminds one of Jackie Gleason. Jackie Gleason. Boston Magazine recently wrote, looks like Barney Rubble. Barney a Rubble? I don't know about you guys, but I'm wearing shoes. I've had some funny reviews. Totally natural. Looks like a good-natured drunk at a party. Thank you. A stocky character from Boston, Massachusetts, with beer gut and productive sweat glands. The pink-faced Tingle worked hard, throwing his arms and shouting his punchlines. Crazy, intelligent, excellent humor. Now, I don't know about you people, but when I think of intelligence, a loud, sweaty man does not come to mind. And the pink-faced Tingle sounds like a bird that escaped from the zoo. Children, get into the house. But, Mother, get into the house now. The pink-faced Tingle's out there. He'll bite you. You'll sweat and scream on television. Now get in the house. I was actually reviewed as being a smug comic once. Smug, which means you think you're better than other people. And obviously, folks, if they're comparing you to Barney Rubble, anybody's head would swell. A smug comic whose act went over like the Hindenburg. The Hindenburg? Do you remember what the Hindenburg was, folks? A blimp that exploded. In 1937, 85 people died. Okay, maybe I'm not a comic genius, but an aerial disaster? So I don't know if I can judge, believe what I read in the New York Times about Gorbachev or Arafat. I don't know what to put on my own resume based on these reviews. I mean, what am I supposed to say? Yeah, I'm Jimmy Tingle. I'm an extremely funny, loud, crazy, sweaty, drunk pink man. Who thinks he's better than other people just because I'm a cross between John Belushi, Jackie Gleason, and a prehistoric cartoon character, and I have that rare and unique ability to levitate off of a stage, hover out over an audience, and explode. I'll do it. I don't know. A few months ago, folks, the post office raised the price of a stamp from 22 to 25 cents. Not a big thing, really, when you consider what you get for 25 cents. But I'm watching the news, and they're interviewing this guy, and he's complaining. This is intolerable. Who do they think they are raising the price of a stamp to a quarter? And you watch the rest of the newscast, and it's like, in South Africa, women and children were bullwhipped into submission today. The Middle East, it's in its 7th month of turmoil. In Haiti, a man was killed on the way to the polls. And in the United States, the price of a stamp went up to a quarter. Guys in Afghanistan, how do they live there? People in El Salvador, is there no God? When you think about it, for 25 cents, a man comes to a box in your neighborhood, picks up your message, and delivers it anywhere in the country. For 25 cents. What's the problem? What, you want change? Tip the guy 3 cents. I mean, you can't pay an American kid 25 cents to lick the stamp. I want a dental plan. I don't know, folks. The priorities, where do they lie? Congress recently voted against a proposal to have a 7-day waiting period to buy a gun. Now, folks, I don't want to sound like a Quaker, okay? But, is a week a long time to wait to see if Hinckley is qualified to own a gun? Hey, I'm an American. I pay my taxes. I'm in an argument. I want a gun. I want it now. Well, we're sorry, sir, but you're going to have to wait at least a week for the gun. A week? The guy will be gone in a week. Well, that's the point. I mean, a 7-day waiting period to buy a gun, and Congress is against it. Folks, it takes 8 days to get a phone. The war on drugs? 2 years ago, the president said we're going to have a war on drugs in this country. Then he cut funding for the Coast Guard. Why didn't somebody tell him? Mr. President. That's how they get the drugs in. On the boats. Well, we don't need the Coast Guard. We'll just say no. Oh, surely that'll work. Is that General Noriega bringing 30 million tons of cocaine into the country? Nope. Well, we don't have the money to stop the drugs from coming in. AIDS research, we don't have the money. Illiteracy, the money. Education, the money. Poverty, the money. The homeless, the money. The elderly, the money. Star Wars, we got a few bucks. We always have money for the Russians. These people should move here. But if we don't take care of AIDS, illiteracy, education, poverty, the elderly, the homeless, things that actually matter in our own country, we don't need Star Wars. Because nobody is going to attack us. Well, think about it. Who's going to invade a leper colony full of homeless, old, illiterate, poor people? I was reading 2 weeks ago that between Ronald Reagan and George Bush, they still can't remember, between the both of them, whether or not they were involved in the arms sale to Iran. With all due respect to the presidency, Mr. Bush, here's a little tip. In the future, if you sell guns to people that take Americans hostage, jot it down. Thank you very much, folks. Merry Christmas.
Okay, my next guest, Ellen Greene, has a delightful and talented young actress. She was in the motion picture The Little Shop of Horrors and played the wacky heroine, and she's in a new movie called Talk Radio. Serious dramatic role, which opens December 21st in 5 cities, and then around the country the 14th of January. Would you welcome Ellen Greene? You broke out the good stuff tonight, huh?
It's Christmas.
Yeah, that's a Christmassy dress.
I'm very excited. I'm in a great movie.
That's what I read reviews of the New York Magazine.
Oliver Stone, to be in an Oliver Stone picture is so thrilling.
Based on the play, right?
Yes, although my character's not in the play. I mean, it says, get out there and think. Make up your own minds. Don't recite what someone's told you. Formulate your own opinions and get out there and talk.
Yeah, I understand it's a devastating movie. This is kind of a departure for you, isn't it? I mean, before you were dressed rather demurely, and is this a new...
Well, I've been working since I last saw you.
Yeah.
I'm doing another thing, a miniseries on Home Box.
Yeah.
A musical. And I play a hellion. I play a rock and roll hellion, so it's been on sort of a lot of different things. So I suppose, yeah.
Somebody said you had a little disaster at your home with a pet?
Oh, yes. A turtle. Again.
Oh, I thought it was a dog or something.
No. Well, no, the turtle got hit by a rock, and it was not breathing, and so we had to give him mouth-to-mouth resuscitation.
Oh, come on, give me a break.
No, and then the little hands like this, and then we put it in a Chevrolet, and all of a sudden, 10 minutes later, boom, and the water tower over our house burst, and all of a sudden, I had an indoor pool in my house, and we went try to find that little turtle that was waterlogged.
How do you give a turtle mouth-to-mouth resuscitation?
Through a straw.
Are you putting me on?
No.
Are you talking a little turtle, or are you talking...
Little painted turtle.
Yeah.
Painted turtle. But it was very, owning a home. Woo.
Is this a new experience for you?
Yes.
What are your problems?